The cold darkness of space wrapped around the hidden shipyard like a black blanket. Deep in Saturn's rings, where ice chunks the size of buildings drifted slowly in endless circles, Commander Jinha pressed his face against the thick glass window of the control room. His breath made small clouds on the cold surface as he watched the workers below. 27 years. That's how long it had been since the aliens came to Earth and tried to kill every human alive. Jinha was just a boy then, hiding in the basement of his family's house in Seoul while the sky burned above them. He remembered the screams. He remembered the smell of smoke that lasted for weeks. Most of all, he remembered the alien voices on every radio and television, telling the galaxy that humans were too dangerous to live. Primitively obsolete, they called humanity, a mistake that needed to be fixed. But humans don't die easy. Jinha looked down at the massive ship taking shape in the construction bay below. The workers looked like tiny ants crawling over its dark metal skin. Some were humans who had escaped the Great Purge. Others were robots built from salvaged alien technology. All of them were working on humanity's greatest secret. The ship was huge, bigger than anything the aliens had ever built. Its name was painted in white letters across the front. Ragnarok's Edge. In the old Earth stories, Ragnarok was the end of the world. But for humans, it would be the beginning of something new. Commander Jinha to the bridge. A voice said from the speakers on the wall. We have a message coming in. Jinha pushed himself away from the window and floated through the hallways of the space station. Everything here was built from scraps and spare parts, but it worked. That was the human way. Take broken things and make them better. On the bridge, a young woman with short black hair was sitting at the communication desk. Her name was Lieutenant Park, and she had been born out here in space, never seeing the Earth that her parents talked about in whispers. Sir, it's from Captain Harin, she said, pointing at the screen. The message is coded, but I think it's important. Jinha sat down and typed in the secret numbers that would unlock the message. The screen flickered, and then Harin's face appeared. She looked tired, but her eyes were bright with excitement. Jinha, she said. I'm sending this from the edge of Zephyrian space. You need to see what I found. The image changed to show a beautiful blue and green planet surrounded by silver space stations. Ships moved between the stations like busy fish in a pond. But these weren't human ships. They were long and elegant, with smooth curves that caught the light of the system's twin suns. This is their homeworld, Harin's voice continued. I've been watching them for 3 weeks. They're having some kind of celebration. Do you know what they're celebrating, Jinha? The image changed again. Now it showed aliens walking through wide streets lined with tall crystal towers. The aliens looked like humans in some ways, but their skin was pale blue and their eyes were too large. They were laughing and dancing, and many of them wore medals on their chests. They're celebrating 27 years of galactic peace, Harin said. Peace built on our bones. Peace bought with human blood. Jinha's hands turned into fists. Around the bridge, the other crew members stopped their work to listen. But here's the interesting part, Harin continued. They think we're all dead. Every single alien species in this galaxy believes that humans are extinct. They've even built monuments to commemorate our destruction. They call it the cleansing of the dangerous species. The screen showed a tall black stone covered in alien writing. At the base of the monument, alien children placed flowers while their parents explained how the galaxy was now safe from the violent humans. They have no idea that we survived, Harin said. They don't know about the hidden colonies. They don't know about the refugees living in asteroid belts and gas giant moons, and they definitely don't know about what we've been building. Jinha smiled for the first time in months. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator seeing prey that didn't know it was being watched. The message continued. I'm attaching all the data I've collected. Ship movements, defense positions, communication frequencies. Everything we need for the first strike. And Jinha? Harin's face became serious. The edge is ready, isn't it? Jinha looked through the bridge window at the massive ship below. Its weapons were loaded. Its engines were tested. Its armor was polished to a mirror shine. After 27 years of secret construction, humanity's revenge was finally complete. "Lieutenant Park," he said, "send a message back to Captain Harren. Tell her the edge is ready. Operation Lazarus begins at dawn." Park's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Message sent, sir." Jinha stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. All around him, men and women who had never seen Earth worked at their stations. They were the children of refugees, the grandchildren of survivors, the living proof that humans don't give up. "Attention all stations," he said into the communication system. "This is Commander Jinha. In 12 hours we will reveal ourselves to the galaxy. For 27 years we have lived in the shadows. We have hidden in the dark corners of space while our enemies celebrated our death. But tomorrow they will learn the truth." He paused, looking at each face on the bridge. These people had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. The aliens thought they killed us all. They thought humans were too weak, too primitive, too stupid to be a real threat. They were wrong. We didn't die. We learned. We grew. We became something better. Through the window, the Ragnarok's edge waited in the darkness like a sleeping giant. Soon it would wake up, and when it did, the galaxy would remember why they tried to destroy humanity in the first place. "Tomorrow," Jinha said, "we remind the galaxy what happens when you try to kill something that refuses to die. Tomorrow we show them what humans become when you give us 27 years to get angry." The bridge was silent except for the quiet hum of computers and life support systems. But in that silence, Jinha could feel something that had been missing for too long. Hope. The aliens had made one critical mistake when they tried to wipe out humanity. They assumed that broken things stay broken. They didn't understand that humans take their pain and forge it into weapons. They didn't know that every human death only made the survivors more determined. Soon, they would learn. Jinha looked at the stars through the bridge window and whispered the words that would become humanity's warcry, "We're still here." Deep in the cold darkness beyond Pluto, Admiral Quan stood in front of a massive holographic display. The blue light from the projection painted shadows across his weathered face as he studied the map of the galaxy. Red dots showed alien homeworlds. Yellow lines marked their trade routes. Green squares indicated their military bases. For 27 years he had studied this map. Every night before sleep, every morning when he woke up, he knew the location of every alien fleet, every space station, every planet where the enemies of humanity lived and worked and celebrated their victory. "Sir," said Major Kim, walking up behind him, "the final ship counts are in." Quan didn't turn around. He kept staring at the red dots that marked the worlds where aliens had built monuments to humanity's death. "How many?" he asked. "The Zephyrian Trade Federation has 847 warships spread across 12 systems. The Vex Collective has 1,200 crystal ships, but most are science vessels. The Rakthul Empire has the biggest fleet, 2,000 battle cruisers, all heavily armed." Quan finally turned around. Major Kim was young, maybe 25. She had been born in the hidden colony on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Like all the second generation, she had never seen Earth except in old videos. "And how many ships do we have, Major?" Quan asked. Kim's face broke into a smile. "One, sir. Just one." Quan smiled back. "Then the odds are almost fair." Across the solar system in the engineering bay of the Ragnarok's edge, Rex wiped sweat from his forehead and stepped back from the massive engine core. The fusion reactor hummed with power that should have been impossible. Human scientists had taken alien technology and made it better, stranger, more dangerous. "How's she looking, Rex?" asked Dr. Martinez, the head of the science team. Rex patted the side of the engine housing like it was a friendly dog. "She's perfect. The quantum fusion drive is running at 340% of theoretical maximum efficiency. The aliens would say it's impossible. But it works? It works because we don't care about their rules," Rex said. "Human engineering isn't about making things pretty or following the textbook. It's about making things work no matter what." Dr. Martinez looked at the readings on her tablet. "The power output is incredible. But are you sure the ship can handle it? Rex laughed. Doc, this ship was built by people who had nothing left to lose. Every bolt, every wire, every piece of metal was put here by someone who watched their world burn. You think we'd build something that breaks easy? Meanwhile, deep in the ship's communication center, Jake Morrison sat at a desk covered with screens and keyboards. His job was simple but important. He would be the voice that announced humanity's return to the galaxy. For weeks he had been practicing the words he would speak. Short words, simple words, words that every alien in the galaxy would understand. Testing, testing, he said into the microphone. This is Earth. We're still here. His assistant, a young man named Lee, looked up from his computer. Sir, I've got all the alien communication frequencies mapped. When you broadcast, every ship, every space station, every planet in the galaxy will hear you. Jake nodded. Good. It's important that they all hear it at the same time. No warnings, no time to prepare. Just the shock of learning that everything they believed was a lie. Back on the bridge, Commander Jinha watched the final preparations. Through the thick glass windows, he could see the Ragnarok's edge floating in the darkness. The ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest alien vessel. Its black metal hull absorbed light instead of reflecting it, making it look like a piece of space itself had come alive. But the ship's size wasn't what made it special. Human engineers had built it with secrets learned from 27 years of studying captured alien technology. The weapons were stronger, the engines were faster, the armor was tougher, and most importantly, the ship could learn and adapt in real time. Sir, said Lieutenant Park, I'm getting reports from all the hidden colonies. They're ready. Jinha pulled up a display showing the locations of human survivors throughout the galaxy. They weren't all living on planets. Most had built secret bases inside asteroids, on dead moons, or in the empty space between star systems. For 27 years they had been invisible. Tomorrow they would all reveal themselves at once. How many people? Jinha asked. 12 million survivors across 200 hidden locations, Park replied. Plus the 50,000 crew members on support, ships that have been hiding in dark space. Jinha felt a surge of pride. 12 million humans. The aliens thought they had killed every single one, but 12 million had survived in secret. 12 million people who had spent their lives preparing for this day. Sir, said another officer, we're getting a transmission from Admiral Kwan. The main screen flickered and Admiral Kwan's face appeared. Behind him, Jinha could see the command center of the hidden base in the Kuiper Belt. Jinha, Kwan said. It's time. Are all systems ready? Yes, sir. The Ragnarok's edge is at full power. All weapons are loaded. The crew is ready. Good. In 2 hours, we move to the first target. Rex, are you listening? Rex's voice came through the speakers. I'm here, Admiral. How's our monster feeling? Like she's been sleeping for 27 years and she's finally ready to wake up, Rex replied. The ship's learning systems are active. Every sensor is calibrated. Every weapon is tested. Admiral, this ship doesn't just want to fight. It wants to win. Admiral Kwan's expression became serious. Jake, you know what to say? Jake Morrison's voice was steady and calm. Yes, sir. The message is simple. This is Earth. We're still here. And we remember everything. Perfect. Jinha, take us out of Saturn's shadow. It's time the galaxy sees what they created when they tried to kill us. The Ragnarok's edge began to move, slowly at first, then faster as its impossible engines built up power. The ship that had been hidden in darkness for 27 years finally emerged into the light of the sun. Across the galaxy, alien sensor operators noticed something strange on their screens. A massive object was moving through the Sol system. At first they thought it was an asteroid. Then they realized it was artificial. Then they saw its size and power readings, and their blood turned cold. Sir, said Lieutenant Park, I'm detecting emergency transmissions from alien outposts throughout the galaxy. They're asking each other what that thing is. Jinha smiled. They're about to find out. Jake, open all communication channels. Channels open, sir. Jinha nodded to Jake Morrison. Send the message. Jake's voice went out across every frequency to every planet, to every ship in the galaxy. "This is Earth, we're still here, and we remember everything." The silence that followed lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then every alien command center in the galaxy exploded into panic. Emergency meetings were called. Fleets were scrambled. Scientists checked their instruments over and over, unable to believe what they were seeing. The species they had tried to wipe out was not only alive, but stronger than ever, and this was just the beginning. The first alien fleet arrived at Proxima Station 3 hours after Jake Morrison's message shocked the galaxy. Admiral Vexithar of the Zephyrian Trade Federation stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the massive human vessel through his ship's cameras. His pale blue skin had turned almost white with fear, but he tried to hide it from his crew. "How big is that thing?" he asked his science officer. "Sir, it's over 15 kilometers long and 8 kilometers wide. Our biggest ships are only 3 kilometers. Admiral Vexthar stared at the dark shape of the Ragnarok's edge. It looked like a piece of the night sky had come alive and learned to hate. No lights showed on its surface. No signals came from its communication systems. It just floated there in space like a sleeping monster. "Send a message to the human ship," Vexthar ordered. "Tell them to surrender immediately or we will destroy them." The communication officer worked at his controls for several minutes. Then he looked up with confusion on his face. "Sir, they're not answering, but they are doing something strange." "What do you mean?" "They're scanning us, every ship in our fleet. But their scanners are different from anything we've ever seen. It's like they're learning everything about us." On the bridge of the Ragnarok's edge, Admiral Kwan watched the alien fleet approach. 57 ships, all painted in the silver and blue colors of the Zephyrian military. They moved in perfect formation, just like their training manuals said they should. "Rex," Kwan said into his communicator, "what do you think of our visitors?" Rex's voice came back full of excitement. "Admiral, our learning systems have analyzed their entire fleet. I know the thickness of their armor, the power of their weapons, the speed of their engines. I even know what they had for breakfast. And they're using the same technology they had 27 years ago. Same weapons, same shields, same tactics. They haven't improved at all." Kwan wasn't surprised. The aliens had won the war against humanity, so they thought they were perfect. They saw no reason to change or grow stronger. That was their first mistake. "Jinha," Kwan said. "Are you ready?" Commander Jinha stood at the weapons control station. His hands rested on controls that could unleash more destruction than any weapon ever built. "All systems ready, Admiral. Quantum torpedoes loaded, infinity cannon charged, particle beam arrays online." "Harin, what about our support ships?" Captain Harin's voice came from the Ghostwalker, now visible after 27 years of hiding. Around her, 15 other human ships uncloaked themselves. They were smaller than the Ragnarok's edge, but each one carried weapons that the aliens had never seen before. "We're in position, Admiral, ready to show these aliens what humans learned while they were celebrating." Admiral Vexthar watched in horror as more human ships appeared on his sensors. They had been invisible just seconds before. His science officer was working frantically at his station. "Sir, those ships shouldn't exist. Our sensors show hull materials that we've never seen before. Energy signatures that don't match any known technology. And sir, they're all pointing their weapons at us." Vexthar tried to stay calm. He had 57 ships. The humans only had 16. His fleet had won the war 27 years ago. Surely they could do it again. "All ships prepare to attack," he ordered. "We will finish what we started 27 years ago. Fire at will." The alien fleet opened fire first. Bright blue energy beams and silver missiles flew through space, toward the human ships. It was a beautiful sight, like deadly fireworks against the black of space. For a few seconds it looked like the aliens might win again. Then the human weapons fired back. The first thing the aliens noticed was the sound. In space there should be no sound, but somehow the human weapons created vibrations that every alien could feel in their bones. It was like listening to the galaxy itself roar in anger. Jinha watched his targeting computer and pressed the firing button. Quantum torpedoes away. The torpedoes didn't look like normal missiles. They were small balls of twisted light that moved faster than anything should be able to move. When they hit the alien ships, they didn't just explode. They tore holes in space itself. The Zephyrian cruiser Star of Victory was the first to die. The quantum torpedo hit its front section and simply erased it from existence. 1 second the ship was there. The next second there was just empty space where the front half used to be. "Impossible," shouted Vexthar. "Nothing can do that." But the human weapons were just getting started. Rex had designed the Ragnaroks, Edge's main weapon himself. The Infinity Cannon didn't just shoot energy or missiles. It shot pieces of compressed space-time that unfolded when they hit their target. The aliens had never seen anything like it because it was based on human mathematics that broke all known laws of physics. "Infinity Cannon ready," Jinha reported. "Fire," Admiral Quan said quietly. The weapon fired with no sound and no flash of light. From the outside, it looked like nothing had happened, but 5 alien ships simply stopped existing. They didn't explode or break apart. They were just gone, as if they had never been built. Admiral Vexthar watched half his fleet disappear in the first 30 seconds of battle. His remaining ships tried to fight back, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the human shields. That was when the aliens learned the most terrifying thing about human technology. Every shot that hit the Ragnarok's edge made its shield stronger. The defensive barriers didn't just stop the alien weapons, they absorbed the energy and used it to become more powerful. "Sir," his science officer screamed, "their shields are adapting to our weapons. Every time we shoot them, they get stronger." Rex laughed as he watched the alien energy beams hit his ship's shields. "That's right. You blue-skinned idiots. We built this ship to learn from everything you throw at us. Hit us with lasers, we develop laser immunity. Hit us with missiles, we develop missile immunity. You're just making us harder to kill." Captain Harin's support fleet joined the battle. Her ships were fast and deadly, dancing between the slower, alien vessels like sharks among fish. The human particle beams cut through alien armor like it was made of paper. "Admiral Vexthar," one of his ship captains screamed over the radio, "we have to retreat. These aren't the same humans we fought before. These are something else." But there was no retreat. The human ships had surrounded the alien fleet. More human vessels were appearing on sensors, emerging from hiding places throughout the system. Ships that had been invisible for 27 years were finally showing themselves. In 10 minutes it was over. Admiral Vexthar's flagship was the last alien ship still fighting. His crew was dead or unconscious. His weapons were destroyed. His engines were failing. Through his cracked view screen, he could see the massive human warship approaching. A voice came over his communication system. It was calm and human and terrifying. "This is Admiral Quan of the Human Defense Force. Your fleet has been destroyed. Your weapons cannot hurt us. Your shields cannot protect you. Do you understand now why you tried to kill us all?" Vexthar's voice was barely a whisper. We thought humans were weak. You were wrong. We're not the same species you fought 27 years ago. You tried to make us extinct, but instead you made us evolve. You turned us into something that could survive anything, including you." The battle was over. The galaxy's first lesson in human evolution was complete. And this was just the beginning. News of the Proxima Station battle spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours, every alien government knew that humanity was not only alive, but had become something terrifying. The Zephyrian High Council called emergency meetings. The Vex Collective's crystal computers worked overtime trying to understand what they had seen. The Rakthul Empire's war chiefs gathered their fleets and prepared for battle. But they were all too late. Admiral Quan stood on the bridge of the Ragnarok's edge, watching status reports pour in from across human space. The battle at Proxima had been just the beginning. Now human fleets that had hidden for 27 years were attacking targets throughout the galaxy. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Park, "Captain Harin is engaging Vex Collective forces at the Andoria mining station. She reports complete success." "And Commander Jinha?" "He's leading the assault on Rakthol Base 7. 3 enemy dreadnoughts destroyed, 0 human casualties. Quan nodded. Everything was going according to plan. The aliens had made their fleets to fight other aliens. Slow, predictable, following rules of war that made sense to civilized species. But humans weren't civilized anymore. 27 years of hiding and planning had turned them into something new. At the Andorium mining station, Captain Harin watched her fleet tear apart the famous Vex collective crystal ships. The aliens were proud of these vessels. They said, the crystal hulls were beautiful and nearly indestructible. They said their matrix computers could calculate the perfect solution to any battle. They were wrong. Target their main crystal array, Harin ordered. Let's see how smart their computers are when they're broken into pieces. The human particle beams hit the lead Vex ship. The beautiful crystal hull that had been designed to deflect energy weapons instead focused the beam and amplified it. The ship tore itself apart from the inside, its own hull becoming a weapon against itself. Admiral Harin, her communications officer, said, the Vex ships are trying to surrender. Harin looked at the remaining crystal ships floating dead in space, their pretty lights dimmed forever. Tell them we'll accept their surrender after they answer one question. What question, ma'am? Ask them why they thought it was acceptable to kill human children. Across the galaxy, Commander Jinha was having his own conversation with alien survivors. His boarding teams had taken control of the Rakthol dreadnought Blood Thunder, and now he stood in its command center facing the ship's captain. The Rakthol were supposed to be the greatest warriors in the galaxy. They were tall and strong, with thick armor built into their skin and claws that could tear through metal. This captain had scars covering his arms and face, proof of 100 battles won. But his hands were shaking as he looked at Jinha. You fight like demons, the Rakthol captain said. We have never seen anything like it. Jinha removed his helmet, showing his human face. The Rakthol captain stepped back in fear. You want to know how we fight? Jinha asked. We fight like we have nothing left to lose. Because you took everything from us 27 years ago, the alien captain tried to stand straight, tried to look brave. We followed orders. The high command said humans were too dangerous to live. And now? The captain looked around at his destroyed ship, at his dead crew, at the human soldiers who had taken his vessel in less than 10 minutes. Now I think they were right to be afraid. Jinha's boarding teams were different from normal soldiers. They didn't just fight with weapons, they adapted to every situation in real time. When Rakthol warriors used their claws, humans learned to use claws better. When aliens tried to hide, humans learned to see in the dark. When enemy ships tried to run, humans learned to fly faster. Sir, one of Jinha's soldiers reported, we've downloaded their tactical database. We now know the location and strength of every Rakthul fleet. Jinha smiled. Send that information to Admiral Quan, and tell him that the Rakthul Empire is about to learn what happens when you pick a fight with a species that learns from everything. Back on the Ragnarok's edge, Admiral Quan was receiving similar reports from across the galaxy. Human fleets were not just winning battles. They were winning so completely that entire alien civilizations were collapsing. The Zephyrian Trade Federation had lost half their ships in the first day. Their trading routes were cut. Their colonies were surrendering without a fight. The proud species that had led the campaign to destroy humanity was now begging other aliens for help. The Vex Collective's crystal matrix technology, the foundation of their entire civilization, had proven useless against human weapons. Worse, humans were already learning how to build crystal ships of their own, but better and stronger than anything the Vex had ever imagined. The Rakthul Empire, the most feared military force in the galaxy, was retreating from every system where humans appeared. Their greatest warriors, who had never known defeat, were abandoning their posts rather than face human soldiers. Sir, Jake Morrison said from the communications station, we're receiving surrender offers from across the galaxy. Admiral, Quan looked at the holographic display showing the current state of the war. Red dots showed alien positions. Green dots showed human victories. In just 3 days, the balance of power in the galaxy had completely changed. What are they offering? Quan asked. Everything, sir. The Zephyrian High Council is offering us control of 12 star systems. The Vex Collective wants to share all their scientific knowledge. The Rakthul Empire is offering to serve as our military allies. And what do they want in return? Jake's voice was quiet. They want us to stop. Quan looked at the faces of his crew. These people had grown up hearing stories about Earth, about the families that were killed, about the children who died when the aliens decided humanity was too dangerous to live. Some of them had parents who survived the Great Purge. All of them had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. Open a channel to all human fleets, Quan ordered. Channel open, sir. This is Admiral Quan to all human forces. I'm receiving reports that our former enemies want to negotiate. They want to offer us treaties and alliances. They want to give us gifts and promise us friendship. He paused, looking at the display showing alien homeworlds. But I have one question for all of you. Do any of you remember what they offered us 27 years ago? The answer came back from every human ship, every hidden colony, every survivor, who had spent their life waiting for this day. Nothing. They offered us nothing but death. That's right, Quan continued. They didn't want to negotiate then. They didn't want to share the galaxy. They wanted us gone. Completely, forever. So, why should we listen to them now? Rex's voice came over the communication system from the engineering deck. Admiral, the ship's computers have been analyzing the alien surrender offers. Want to know something interesting? In every single message, they keep using the same word. What? Word? Mercy. They all want mercy. The same species that showed no mercy to human children are now begging us for mercy. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of the ship's engines and the soft beeping of computers. Admiral Quan looked at Earth, on the display. Still scarred from the alien attack decades ago, still struggling to heal. Jake, send a message to every alien government that has offered to surrender. What should I tell them, sir? Quan's voice was calm and cold. Tell them we'll consider their offers, after we visit Earth, after we see what they did to our home, after we show them what 27 years of human evolution looks like. He paused, then added, and tell them that mercy is something you ask for before you try to commit genocide, not after. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what humanity would do next. The Ragnarok's edge approached Earth slowly, like a child coming home after a long journey. Admiral Quan stood at the bridge windows, watching his homeworld grow larger on the screens. 27 years had passed since he had seen the blue and green planet where humanity was born. 27 years since the aliens had tried to burn it to ash. The planet looked different now. Where once there had been great cities, now there were smaller settlements spread across the continents. Green forests were growing back where the alien weapons had left burning deserts. The oceans were still blue, but they reflected the light, differently, as if the water itself remembered the fire that had fallen from the sky. Sir, Lieutenant Park said quietly, I'm getting signals from the surface. The survivors down there, they're celebrating. They know we won. Around Earth, a fleet of alien ships waited in orbit. Not attacking ships this time. These were vessels, carrying ambassadors, diplomats, and the leaders of every major civilization in the galaxy. They had all come to witness what would happen next. Commander Jinha walked onto the bridge carrying a data pad. His face was serious, but his eyes were bright. Admiral, I have the final numbers. Tell me. 51 star systems have surrendered. Completely. The Zephyrian Trade Federation has offered us their entire territory. The Vex Collective wants to give us all their technology. The Rakthul Empire has disbanded their military and is asking to become our allies. Quan nodded. And the others? 47 smaller civilizations have sent messages asking for peace treaties. They're all offering us tribute, territory, or technology. Jinha paused. Sir, they're giving us everything. The entire galaxy is surrendering. Admiral Quan looked at the alien ships waiting in orbit around Earth. Inside those vessels were the leaders of species who had once thought humans were nothing more than dangerous animals that needed to be put down. Now they waited like children hoping for forgiveness from an angry parent. Jake, Quan said, open a channel to all ships in the system. Include the surface colonies on Earth. I want every human and every alien to hear this. Jake Morrison's fingers moved across his controls. "Channel open, Admiral. The whole galaxy is listening." Quan walked to the center of the bridge. Through the windows, he could see Earth turning slowly below them. Somewhere on that planet were the ruins of Sol, where he had been born. Somewhere, down there were the ashes of cities where millions of humans had lived and loved and dreamed before the aliens came. "My name is Admiral Quan of the Human Defense Force," he began. 27 years ago, representatives of the galactic hegemony came to this system. They told us that humanity was primitively obsolete. They said we were too dangerous to be allowed to live. They said our species was a mistake that needed to be corrected. His voice was calm, but everyone listening could hear the steel underneath the words. They were right about one thing. We were dangerous, but not in the way they thought. On the surface of Earth, in the rebuilt city of New Sydney, thousands of humans gathered in the streets to listen. Many of them were old enough to remember the Great Purge. Others were children who had been born in the hidden colonies, finally seeing their homeworld for the first time. In the alien ships orbiting Earth, diplomats and generals listened in terrified silence. They had come here hoping to negotiate with the same primitive species they had tried to destroy. Instead, they found something that had evolved far beyond their worst nightmares. "The danger of humanity," Quan continued, "was never that we were violent or aggressive. The danger was that we don't give up. We don't accept defeat. When you push us to the edge of extinction, we don't die quietly. We learn. We adapt. We become something stronger." Captain Haren's voice came over the communication system from her ship, the Ghost Walker. "Admiral, I'm detecting movement from the hidden construction sites throughout the system. Show them, Haren." Across the Sol system, massive space docks that had been invisible for decades suddenly revealed themselves. Hidden shipyards emerged from asteroid belts and gas giant moons, and from each one a new warship began to move into the light. The alien ambassadors watched in horror as ship after ship appeared on their sensors. Each one was as large as the Ragnarok's edge. Each one radiated the same impossible energy signatures. Each one was proof that humanity hadn't just built one planet killer, they had built an entire fleet. Rex's voice came from the engineering section, full of pride. "Admiral, all 50 ships are now visible and operational. The Ragnarok's edge was just the first. We've been building her sisters for 20 years. 50 planet-killer warships. 50 vessels that could each destroy entire fleets by themselves. The aliens had tried to wipe out humanity with a few hundred ships. Now humans had weapons that could crack planets like eggs. But here's what I want you all to understand," Admiral Quan said, looking directly at the camera that was broadcasting, his words to every corner of the galaxy. "We didn't build these ships because we wanted to conquer the galaxy. We built them because you tried to kill our children." The alien diplomats in their ships looked at each other with growing fear. This wasn't a negotiation, this was a judgment. Every human who died in the Great Purge, every child who burned in your attack ships, every family that was scattered across the void, they all have one thing in common. They died because you decided they were too dangerous to live, Mander. Jinha stepped forward. "Admiral, the surface colonies are ready for the ceremony." Quan nodded. "Jake, put us in contact with the memorial site." The screen changed to show the ruins of what had once been New York City. In the center of the broken city, humans had built a simple black wall covered with names. Millions of names. Every human who had died in the Great Purge was listed there, and an old woman stood in front of the memorial. Her name was Dr. Sarah Chen, and she was one of the few humans who remembered what Earth was like before the aliens came. "Admiral Quan," she said, "we're ready to begin the remembrance." "Thank you, Dr. Chen. Begin when ready." Dr. Chen began to read names from the wall, slowly, carefully, making sure each name was pronounced correctly. These were the humans who had died so that others might live. These were the people the aliens had thought were too unimportant to remember. As the names were read, something amazing happened. From every hidden colony, from every secret base, from every human ship in the galaxy, other voices joined in. 12 million human survivors speaking the names of their dead in unison. The aliens listened to this chorus of remembrance and finally understood what they had really done 27 years ago. They hadn't just attacked a primitive species, they had attacked a family. When the last name was read, Admiral Kwan spoke again. Those were our people, our families, our future. You took them from us because you thought we were too dangerous, but you were wrong about what made us dangerous. He paused, looking out at the alien ships surrounding Earth. The most dangerous thing about humanity was never our weapons or our aggression. It was our memory. We remember every kindness and every cruelty. We remember every friend and every enemy. And we never, ever forget our dead. Rex's voice came over the speakers one final time. Admiral, all construction sites are now fully visible. Total fleet count, 50 planet killers, 200 cruisers, 500 support vessels. The galaxy is seeing our true strength for the first time. Admiral Kwan smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had waited 27 years to speak these words. To every species listening to this broadcast, you tried to make us extinct. Instead, you made us eternal. You tried to silence us. Instead, you gave us a voice that will echo across the galaxy for 1,000 years. You tried to erase us from history. Instead, you made us the authors of the galaxy's future. He looked directly into the camera, knowing that his words were being heard on every planet where aliens lived and worked and tried to sleep. This is Earth. We're not just back. We're what comes after everything you thought you knew about power, about evolution, about survival. We're what happens when you try to kill something that refuses to die. The alien ships began to leave Earth's orbit one by one. They had come hoping to negotiate with the primitives they remembered. Instead, they found gods wearing human faces. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never forget their name again.